And so I hope this event, right now you're thinking, okay, something's brewing in your mind, and if you're here with your sweetheart, your significant other, I hope that you guys are realizing, okay, 2017's got to be this turning point, right? 2017's got to be our year that we do something different. So number one, it starts with that. Number two, you got to find a success mentor and do everything they tell you to do. And here's a newsflash, and this might be a little controversial. It might not be your upline, quite frankly. If your upline's not in the hunt, if they're not really, committed to this thing, you got to find whoever is going to get you to the next level, and you get coachable to that person. I've had great mentors in the business. Guillermo Haro's been my mentor to this day, continues to be one of them. John Shin has been my mentor, right? Ed Milet, I consider a mentor. And so you got to find great mentors, success coaches, and do whatever they tell you immediately, right? And be coachable. One of the main reasons why people don't make it in this business, they're not coachable to a success mentor. Do you have somebody like that in your life where they say, do this, do that, you actually do it. You pull the trigger. Well, if you're broke right now, you got to do that, right? You got to find somebody. Next one here, this is a big one. Swallow your pride. And if you're broke right now doing this, you better minimize all expenses. And you need to operate from a need versus want mindset. Do I need it to survive, or do I want it? Right? Jamie was talking about it right now. By the way, what? Cable. Do you need it or do you want it? If you're broke and you're an entrepreneur, you got to get lean and mean, right, with your expenses. That car payment, that might be a little bit too much. That's what I'm talking about, swallowing your pride. Sometimes you got to do that. The restaurants, the vacations, the shopping, all that stuff, you got to get very lean. But here's the next point. You don't skip on your business though. You keep paying your plug-in fees. You don't let your office lease go. You pay, right now we're in renewal season for licensing, right? Breaks my heart, some of you in this room right now, you're literally thinking about, should I renew the license? I gotta borrow. Yes, borrow the money, renew the license. Don't let your license lapse, right? All those kinds of things. You don't skimp on your WFG business. The wealth, you go to all the events. Leader holds something that you got to commit to, you go with it, right? You get lean outside of your, on your personal life, personal expenses, but when it comes to your business, you don't get lean there. I think you need to reinvest. That's another point here. You got to run away from all toxic and negative people. It's hard enough to do this business when you're going through financial struggle, and on top of that, you got negative people, toxic people. And if that's somebody that's very special in your life, unfortunately, you're going to have to figure out a way, like Cash said yesterday, his parents were a little bit toxic. He'd avoid them, right? He did what he had to do. So you got to avoid negative, toxic people. Only get around the positive people. The people in the office that are winning, you want to be around those people. You want to latch on to their mindset. It's crazy. You keep hearing a common theme up here. It's all about mindset. It's all about the way you think, right? The speaker before, Jamie, was just talking about that. Cash last night was talking about that. So that's huge. You got to get away from negative, toxic people. Here's a big one. You got to work your way out of it. You can do all those things and still not start gaining momentum because you don't do that one right there. You better get to work, and you need to have, we talked about this at the SMD evaluation meeting, what is your personal action plan on getting why? In 2017, seriously, ask yourself that question right now. What is my game plan for getting why? Because I'm going to get 2 or 3 numbers a day, guess what? It's not going to happen. You got to be way more specific on how you're going to attract personal direct width to your code number, because width equals wealth. Width equals wealth. You know, years ago we went to an Ed My Left meeting at his house, some of the leadership up here, and I asked him a very significant question that changed the course of my career. And I said, Ed, you talk about width so much. What's the percentage of time throughout our day that we need to be focused on width, on just our personal width? And he looked at me and he kind of paused. He really thought about his answer. And he said, you know what, JR? Seriously, like 65% of the time. And I literally have that audio recorded to this day. I was like 65% of the time, I'm like doing 10 right now. Personal activity during the day to get what? Think about that for you right now. If Ed's saying it's 60, 65, and he just sent a Twitter like, I want to say 3 months ago, basically confirming that, right? You guys that follow Ed on Twitter. And I was thinking to myself, man, I got to change some things here. I got to change some things, because if I'm spending 10% of my day going wide, and he said spend 60, 65%, I have to totally redo my business plan in essence, right? And so we changed that. And Michelle and I, we put a list of 60 directs at our place, and there were blank names, and we just proceeded to start filling them in, getting 5, 6 directs a month. Just put our head down, go to work. And if I've got whatever I've got today, it's because of that run on going wide. And so all I'm saying is I can't say enough. Everybody in this room, if you get anything out of this meeting, what is your game plan for going wide? And then you explode deep. Get great at getting a list. Get great at building personal relationships. Get great at tap rooting. So you sprint wide to what? Explode deep, right? So that's a huge one. And you can work your way out. I've been through financial struggle. Shoot, Cash talked about getting his car repossessed. I've never said this. I got my car repossessed in this business. Couldn't believe I was going through it at the time, right? I was on my way to a wealth bowl, actually, down the street. Literally at the time, I'm with Phil Mazzella and a guy named Eddie Kirakosian, and it's us three, it's me and these 2 guys. That was my team. And I'm coming out to a wealth bowl. I'm still in Guillermo's base shop, and my mom, we get to the JW Marriott, right? And it's late at night, and we're all splitting a room. And I would never split a room with these guys now. I'm like, I can't believe it. Anyway, we're splitting a room, and it's like 2 in the morning. My phone's blowing up. Right? This guy, Eddie, he wakes me up, JR, your mom's calling you. You know, and I'm like, okay, give me the phone. And I pick up. My mom calls me Lito, right? That's my nickname for her. And so she says, Lito, they're taking your car. Why didn't you tell me? I'm like, oh my God. And I said, look, I'll deal with it when I get back, whatever. I'm at this event. And so then I proceed to lay there. I go back into the room, and Phil and Eddie are like, dude, is everything okay? Oh yeah, my mom was just freaked out. She wasn't, you know, I told her I'd call her when we get there. I didn't call her, but you know, it's all good. And they're like, okay, cool. So they go back to sleep. I stay awake the rest of the night, just like, how am I gonna do this? And then I get to the event. Guillermo's like, all right, dude, you're emceeing the whole thing today. And I'm like, what? Let's do it, man. It's going to make the story better, because one day I'm going to tell that story on stage, and here we are doing it. Can you believe that? And so you work your way out. When your back's against the wall like that, that's what you see what you're made of, right? Some of you guys, it's like, I'm not saying you got to go through that. Some of you guys might be thinking, man, so does everybody get their car repoed here? God, what am I going to do? No, that was my fault, right? That was my fault, and that was Cash's fault. He would admit that, you know, maybe we weren't prospecting enough, we weren't making enough phone calls, we weren't going wide, so there's consequences to all that. And that's why you better smarten up and work hard and do the right things in this business to make sure you work out of it, and that's one of them right there. So, anyway, next one here, once you make some money, you crawl out of it, you start getting some momentum, you better quickly reinvest in your business. Quickly reinvest in your business. What do I mean by that? How would you reinvest into your WFG Transamerica business? Well, maybe you hire an assistant. You go make 10, 15, 20 grand one month, you get a big rollover, you get, you sprint wide, you get a lot of internal consumption. Reinvest, get an assistant to help you keep that level of production up, to keep the momentum up. But that's not the only way you reinvest. How about your wardrobe? How about in technology? Whatever you got to do to keep this business going, reinvest. It's one of the best investments you can make. How about you throw a contest for your team? Little things like that is reinvesting, right? I think it's so important, guys. Throw an event for your teams, a lunch, whatever, but quickly reinvest and keep the momentum up, and that's what sustains it. And this one's so important here. Keep a positive attitude at all times. One of the key takeaways, through adversity, nobody knew I was going through it. Nobody knew but Michelle and my mom and everybody else. How's everything? Everything's great. How's business? Amazing. Better than expected. Why are we moving offices? Don't ask, right? Forget this place. It's way better over here. All right. Where's your car? I got rid of it, man. I hated that car anyway, dude. I'd always talk about where we're going, Nobody knew, not even Guillermo knew, right? It's like, don't ask me, and I'm not going to tell you, all right? I'm just survive. Just know I'm going to find a way, right? And so, stay positive. Don't let your people know that you're going through stuff, right? Because that, you steal the dream. If you know where you're headed, that's all that matters. If you know you're headed to the top, that's all that matters. They don't need to know. They don't need to know you're going through some adversity, right? They're looking for you for inspiration, for crying out loud, right? Imagine. So that was one of the keys in going through adversity. Some of you guys are going through right now, and you're telling the whole world that's not helping your business. You got to find a way to get through that without letting everybody, because that's toxic. I think that's toxic in your business. So I think if you immediately implement that, if you're struggling in the business right now and you implement these points right here, I don't know how you don't get out of it. And I don't know how you don't get out of it quickly, by the way, right? And so, how many of you in this room, if I were to show you a game plan on how to get to 250 next year, you would take some copious notes right now, right? Most people in this room, man, 250 by next year's Wealth Bowl, I'll sign that deal right now, right? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that, how to get to 250 in 2017. Let's make some assumptions here. Let's assume you're an SMD, right? Because I'm not going to give this example a training associate. So let's assume you're an SMD at the highest contract where the game really starts. Let's also assume the average sale is 3,000 points. Let's just use the company average, right? So you would have to run a 660,000 point base shot, which is 55,000 a month. Nothing crazy. 55,000 point a month base shot. And here's the other thing. So of that, you'd have to write 15,000 personal points. So you make a commitment to going wide, having a lot of internal consumption, and then you go close their top 2 or 3 people in their market. Very easy system, right? You realize that's the whole deal too, right? You bring somebody on board, make them a client, go see their top 2, 3 people, and then do that again 3 or 4 other times in the month. So if you're doing that, there's no reason why you couldn't write 15,000 personal with your own pen. And so you write 15 of the 55. Next one here, you'd override 180,000 points, right? Because subtract the 15 from what you do on that monthly basis. So overriding 180,000 points, that's $144,000 in overrides for the year. If you multiply that out for the year. So not bad, right? And some override money. Or I'm sorry, 180,000 points times your contract, right? Your SMD contract, that's 144,000 with your own pen. So that's what you can make just going out there and writing 15,000 personal points a month. You override the rest, the 480,000 points. Let's say the average override spread is 25%, because you could override a training associate 50%, and you could override a marketing director, call it 12 to 18%. And so let's just say we're talking 25% average spread. That'd be $120,000 in override income. That's an 18 to 20 sale a month base shop. You're closer than you think. You're telling me you can't get an 18 to 20 sale a month base shop? And I'm just talking IUL. I'm not talking about annuities. I'm not talking about the trails, the residuals, the bonus income. I'm just talking about, can you get to an 18 to 20 sale a month operation? Everybody in this room could do that. If you vote, do you believe that, by the way? Raise your hand if you believe that. Well, you could do that next year, and guess what? Add the 144 with your own pen, the 120 in overrides, you're at 264 in income. You're closer than you think, ladies and gentlemen. Now, some of you in the room, you're like, I don't see it. I don't see it next year at least, right? Well, how do you make 100 grand in 2017 with the team? So if 250 was beyond you, we got to, hopefully at the end of this weekend, you're a little bit more vision stretched and you think, no, I can actually do this. But let's say it's beyond you. You want to make 100 grand next year with a bit of a team. Here's how you make 100 grand. Number one, get to SMD. Right? Because again, this example is not a training associate. You personally write 5,500, a whopping 5,500 points a month. For some of you, that could be one app, right? 5,500 points a month. 5,500 times 12, that's 66,000 personal points. Can you go write 66,000 personal points over the next 12 months at 80%? That'd be $52,000 just with your own pen. You override a base shop that does another 20,000 points per month. Total of 25,500 points a month. That's a 9 sale a month base shop. You can't get it up to 9? Of course you can. So let's demystify the ring for a moment. It's a 9 sale a month base shop, ladies and gentlemen. Who knows they can do that? Everybody, right? Come on. So 20,000 points times 25%, the average spread, that's 5,000 times 12, that's 60,000. Add the 52,800 plus the 60, you're at $112,000 next year running a 9 sale a month base shop. Can you believe that? Closer than you think. Closer than you think. Now, some of you are like, nah, 100,000 next year. I thought that was going to be like, I just got started to take my wife on a Vegas vacation. I want to make some money Okay, here we go. You want to make 50K part-time next year? Here's what you got to do. Right? So if 100 was beyond you, you want to make 50K. By the way, some of you, in addition to what you make right now, that'd be 50K part-time. That's some good money part-time, right? For a lot of you. So get to SMD. Personally write 5,500 points a month. That's 2 to 3 clients a month. 5,500 times 12 is 66,000 times 80%. That's $52,000 part-time. You can get there, right? You can't go get 2-3 people a month. Again, some of you guys are in markets, that's one client. That's one client. That's how close you are to making some big money here. But you got to make a decision. You got to make a decision. You got to make a decision that in 2017, you're positioning yourself and your family for what we call the good life. What's the good life? Health, wealth, love, and happiness. I don't think there's anybody in this room that wouldn't want some more of that. Right? Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
So, as we wrap up today and we go into lunch, I just want to let you guys know I appreciate being in business with you. This is an amazing opportunity if you choose it to be. And why not go for the good life? You deserve it, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you at the top.